The Taiwan Strait, May 2026. To the naked eye, the USS Carl Vinson, hull number CVN-70, is impossible to miss. It is a 1,000-foot-long slab of nuclear-powered American diplomacy, displacing over 100,000 tons. It is loud, it is massive, and it is currently parked right in Beijing's front yard. But if you are a radar operator for the People's Liberation Army Navy, you have a very big problem. According to your multi-billion-dollar radar arrays, the ocean in front of you is empty. You know the carrier is there, you can see it on satellite, but your tactical systems are staring at a blank screen. It is as if the laws of physics decided to take a lunch break. The United States Navy just sent CVN-70 into the most contested waters on the planet, with a weapon that does not just hide a ship, it deletes it from the enemy's digital reality. China's Navy is terrified because their entire strategy of carrier killing depends on one thing: being able to lock on. And today, we are diving into the electronic warfare revolution that just made China's missile sensors obsolete. For decades, naval electronic warfare was a game of noise. If a missile was coming at you, you blasted out so much radio energy that the missile got confused. It was effective, but it was like screaming at the top of your lungs to hide. It worked, but everyone knew exactly where you were. Enter the SLQ-32 version 7, also known as SEWIP Block III. This is the weapon CVN-70 is currently wielding in the Taiwan Strait. Unlike older systems, SEWIP Block III does not just scream noise. It uses an active electronically scanned array, or AESA, to perform what is essentially digital sorcery. It captures the incoming radar signal from a Chinese destroyer, modifies it in a fraction of a millisecond, and beams it back. But it doesn't send back a glitch. It sends back a signal that tells the Chinese radar that the USS Carl Vinson is actually 5 kilometers to the left, or that it is a small fishing boat, or that it isn't there at all. At Mach 5, the speed of China's latest hypersonic missiles, a 5-kilometer error isn't just a miss, it is a total failure. China spent 20 years building carrier killers like the Dongfeng 21 Delta, and the United States just updated a software package that makes those missiles as useful as expensive fireworks. While the carrier itself is protected by the SEWIP system, its air wing, specifically the EA-18G Growler, is carrying the Next Generation Jammer Midband, or NGJMB. As of April 2026, these pods have been fully integrated into the Carl Vinson strike group. Most jammers can only focus on one frequency at a time. The NGJMB uses gallium nitride technology to hit multiple frequencies simultaneously with surgical precision. Think of it like this: if traditional jamming is a sledgehammer, the Next Generation Jammer is a collection of thousands of tiny invisible needles. It can shut down a Chinese air defense radar while simultaneously leaving the American radio communications perfectly clear. This spectral dominance means that the US Navy can operate in a bubble of silence. Inside that bubble, the American pilots can see everything. Outside that bubble, the Chinese sensors are effectively blind. The sarcastic expert says, China built a great firewall on the internet, so the US Navy decided to build a great firewall in the atmosphere. The difference is, you can't bypass this one with a VPN. Electronic warfare is only half the story. As of late April 2026, the USS Carl Vinson is operating with a full complement of F-35C Lightning II stealth fighters. These are the Navy's first carrier-capable stealth jets, and they change the math of the Taiwan Strait entirely. Traditional carrier jets like the Super Hornet have a radar cross-section roughly the size of a large truck. The F-35C has a radar cross-section roughly the size of a metal marble. When you combine this passive stealth with the active stealth of the SEWIP and Next Generation Jammer, you get a strike force that is virtually undetectable until it is far too late. The F-35C acts as a quarterback for the entire fleet. It uses its sensors to identify Chinese targets from hundreds of kilometers away and feeds that data back to the carrier. The carrier then uses its long-range systems to neutralize the threat before the Chinese Navy even knows they are being tracked. It is the ultimate unfair fight. In early 2026, the Pentagon revealed a new strategy for the Pacific called Project Hellscape. The goal is to turn the Taiwan Strait into an automated nightmare for any invading fleet using thousands of unmanned systems. The USS Carl Vinson serves as the command and control hub for this curtain of drones. Using the Maven Smart System, an artificial intelligence-driven data fusion program, the carrier can coordinate thousands of suicide surface boats and aerial swarms simultaneously. China's Navy is designed to fight a big ship war. They have carriers, they have destroyers, and they have submarines. But how do you fight 10,000 small, invisible, autonomous drones that are all communicating via an encrypted JAM network? You don't. You lose. The US Navy is essentially telling Beijing, your carriers are targets, and our drones are everywhere. And because of our electronic warfare, you won't even know which drone is the one that's about to end your day. Let us look at the attrition economy again. A Chinese Type 055 destroyer, their most advanced surface combatant, costs about $1.2 billion to build. It is packed with sensors and missiles designed to kill an American carrier. However, if that $1.2 billion ship cannot see its target because of a $10 million electronic warfare upgrade on the USS Carl Vinson, that ship is effectively a very expensive paperweight. The United States isn't just winning the tech war, they are winning the economic war. By investing in invisible weapons, rather than just bigger ships, the US Navy has neutralized China's massive shipbuilding advantage. Beijing can build 3 ships for everyone the US builds, but it doesn't matter if all 3 of those ships are blind, deaf, and unable to fire a single accurate shot. The most terrifying part of this new deployment is the transparency of the battlefield. The Maven Smart System has already been used to identify over 13,000 targets in recent global conflicts. When paired with the USS Carl Vinson sensors, it makes the South China Sea transparent. If a Chinese submarine leaves port, Maven tracks its acoustic signature. If a missile battery moves in Fujian province, Maven flags it for a strike. The invisible weapon isn't just a jammer. It is the intelligence that allows the US Navy to see through China's own decoys and stealth attempts. China thought they could use anti-access area denial to keep the US out of the Taiwan Strait. Instead, the US Navy showed up with a system that makes access a guarantee and denial a physical impossibility. For 20 years, the carrier killer missile was the bogeyman of the Pacific. Experts predicted that the age of the aircraft carrier was over because missiles were simply too fast and too accurate to stop. But the deployment of CVN-70 to the Taiwan Strait with SEWIP Block III has flipped that narrative. We are entering the electronic shield era. If a carrier can reliably jam or spoof every incoming missile, the missile becomes a relic of the past, much like the battleship did after World War II. The US Navy has successfully transitioned from a kinetic defense, shooting things down, to a digital defense, making sure the things are never fired accurately in the first place. This is why China's Navy is terrified. Their entire offensive doctrine is based on a weapon system that the US Navy just figured out how to turn off. Why send the USS Carl Vinson specifically? Because it was the first carrier to be fully digitized. During its recent overhauls, the Vinson was equipped with the latest Joint Cyber Center and the infrastructure needed to support the F-35C and the SEWIP Block III. It is a floating laboratory for the future of naval warfare. By sending it into the Taiwan Strait, the United States is sending a very clear message. We aren't just here to show force. We are here to show you that your force is no longer relevant. The Vinson isn't just a carrier. It is a testbed for a war that will be won before a single shot is even fired. It is a war of bits, bytes, and frequencies. And as of May 2026, the United States is holding all the high cards. The Taiwan Strait is no longer a danger zone for the US Navy. It is a demonstration ground for the most advanced stealth and electronic warfare technology ever created. Japan is watching, Australia is watching, and most importantly, Beijing is watching as their carrier killers become nothing more than expensive metal tubes. The USS Carl Vinson has proven that in the modern age, the most powerful weapon isn't the one that makes the biggest bang. It is the one that makes the enemy think you aren't even there. If you want to stay updated on how invisible weapons are reshaping the Pacific, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are tracking the next Project Hellscape exercise in the South China Sea, and you won't want to miss what happens when the US Navy decides to turn the lights off on China's Navy again. Thanks for watching, and remember, if you can see it, you can kill it. But if you can't see it, you've already lost.